Hello, and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. This is the Ask Videomail for the week of January 12th, 2015. Welcome to the site to you new members, and welcome back to the old members. The Ask Videomail is your chance to get your question in character animation or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it, so please send your questions to Webmaster. There it is. At KennyRoy.com. I go through all the questions, and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question, believe me. If there was, I've asked it 10 times. Okay, so don't be shy. And asking questions is the best way to get the most out of the site. Welcome. I told you last year, I guess, well, it's last month and last year, that I was going to be gone in New Zealand. I'm back. And here we are. Here we are in 2015, and life is dandy. Life is good. A lot of exciting things going on in my studio right now, taking some big meetings. Really excited, and I can't wait to tell you guys all about it when and if this stuff happens. I think this is going to be my year, man. I think it is. So cross your fingers, do a little rain dance. I'm not sure what you do, but if you believe in luck, please send some my way, all right? All right. This week, I've seen a lot of people asking about ergonomics, and I've linked the ergonomics Ask Videomail that I did 2 or 3 years ago now, and I wanted to do an update. So this is an ergonomics update here on KennyRoy.com. Okay, and the reason I wanted to do this was because since I did that ergonomics Ask Videomail, I hurt my back after that. I hurt my back badly, and the reason I hurt my back, I was told, was because of the fact that I was sitting, and my back was extremely weak because my stomach was extremely weak because I was sitting all day. I had a disc bulge between my L5-S1, fifth lumbar, first sacral vertebrae, and that is known as the computer disc. It's kind of a play on words. It's kind of a funny thing. Thank you, chiropractors. You're hilarious. The computer disc. And it is extremely common with people in our profession, and anyone who sits at a computer more than a couple hours a day. And it has mostly to do with the fact that your eye level and your keyboard level are not optimized to keep your back straight. So what normally happens is you're sitting too low for your keyboard, which is going to screw up your back because your arms are up in the air. And that's so that a monitor that's sitting on a desk will be eye level. Or you're sitting too high so that your arms are resting on the desk, which is bad. We talked about in the last one. And you're rounding your back and you're tilting your head up to look at a monitor. Now, that's the more common one. Normally people don't slouch down so low that their eyes are level with a monitor that is flat on a desk. You just kind of look like a slob when you do that. It's actually better for you to slightly slouch in your chair than it is to be sitting straight up and bent over and then your head tilted back this way. You're getting absolutely no lumbar support like that. You're rounding your back. The bottom of your back is just gassing out all day, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. But at any rate, I was saying, it's funny because in my last ergonomics video, I was like, I have a pretty good setup here. I've got this, arm support. I have a chair with lumbar support, and I sit pretty straight. If I was doing everything totally right, I would be standing. And I had a standing desk at Weta, but I don't now. And it was like foreshadowing. When I think back on that, I'm kind of a little bit embarrassed that I ended up hurting my back really badly. But at any rate, so here we are. So I'm going to talk a little bit about like how this is supposed to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you my setup as it exists right now. And here it is. This is the standing desk that I have, It was pretty affordable. It has 2 levels. It's not. It's called Versa Table. It's not exactly the most configurable in that it doesn't adjust after you set it up, but I was able to measure it and get everything absolutely perfect for how I work, which is you don't want it so level. I mean, you want this to be a 90-degree angle, but you don't want to be resting your hand all day. Okay, so when I'll show you what is down there in a second. Okay, but I have it at the level. See, here I am right now, and I'm on my thing. I'll show you that in a second. And if I am using the keyboard, as you can see, my arm is at the right angle if I'm lifting my arm off of the table a little bit. You see that? That's what you want to do. You want to have some space underneath here. You don't want to be leaning down on that arm. Same thing if I'm using the mouse. You see my arm is a little bit raised, so I have to keep it off there. I can't come down here and rest on it. I might be a little high actually on my thing, but I'm not on this all the time, and I'll show you that in a second. Same thing with the Wacom. As you can see, my arm is at a nice angle, so is this hand. You know, I can lift up my wrist, and I can mouse around like this. Okay, so I mean, this standing desk. I was telling you guys all about this. I was sort of embarrassingly, I was foreshadowing that I was going to get in trouble in my last video, and now finally I'm where I'm supposed to be. So that's kind of cool. Okay. Next thing about if you absolutely can't get a standing desk, then there are some things that you need to do in order to take care of yourself. I already told you about the Wacom tablet, and I'm proud to say that I have a brand new Intuos Pro, which they've gone back to. I'm going to do a separate video just for the Intuos people, for the Wacom people. They've gone back to mechanical buttons on the Intuos. I was actually tearing through the express keys because I hit it so much using display toggle. Now they've gone back to mechanical keys, and it's a dream come true. I love it. So at any rate, Wacom, this is called a Smudge Guard. I'm not getting paid by any of these people to recommend these things. Smudge Guard, absolute must. Why is it a must? Well, first of all, your hand gets extremely you like rub your skin off on your Wacom if you're mousing all day. This keeps your Wacom clean. It keeps your hand gliding around on there, and it really does actually reduce fatigue. So I highly recommend the Smudge Guard. It's like $12, and it's just so easy to do. What you can do if you want is you can actually just get like a super cheap winter glove from Walmart, and you can cut your own Smudge Guard if you wanted to. But for the effort, I would rather have one that's like tailored and sewn together nicely and is not going to fray or come apart like like a winter glove might. Plus it fits pretty snug, and I like that about it as well. Okay, so this is the Smudge Guard, and I think I had that in the last video as well. What I didn't show you in the last video is the exercises and stretches you need to do to avoid the things that have happened to me. So the first thing that I want to show you is, I call it scratching the sky. And this is extremely easy to do. So basically what you do is you do this at least once an hour. But what you do is you take your arms, do this with both arms, okay? And you put it behind you, okay? And you rotate it. You rotate your wrist up and out as much as you can, okay? So this is hard to do, to bring it up any more than this, and I can't really rotate it out anymore either, okay? So this is as far as I can go. Push that, okay? Push it up. Push that wrist up. Leave your fingers loose for now. Push your wrist outwards, rotate outwards and upwards as much as you can. Okay. Now, why this is important is because what happens in your wrist is the muscles aren't actually just like attached straight. They actually twist. the way that they're attached, they're actually attached back here. And as you can see, when I kind of flex, they actually rotate up around your arm. So any stretch you do like this, that basically just pulls on all of the tendons that go through the carpal tunnel, that's great and all. You can overdo this. I don't do this stretch anymore at all. Why? Because it's as important for you to stretch the muscles as the tendons, and you're not actually stretching the muscles when you do this. Feel it. You're actually just pulling on those tendons. When you do this stretch, okay, especially if you can rotate it up and out as much as possible, okay, see how I'm pushing it out. All right, what you're actually doing is you're getting those muscles engaged as well. All right, so push it. Now let's do this all together, okay? I want you doing this right now. Don't screw around. Don't faff around with this. This is important stuff, all right? Let's get that back there. Let's rotate that wrist up. See how the muscles engage? Okay, now push it out, rotate it out, and then just when you think you can't do it any longer, you're going to do a count of 10, and you're going to scratch the sky. Okay? See what it's doing to that muscle right there? Oh, and I can feel it in the tendons as well. Let's do a nice, make a fist, scratch, pull it, all right, and then let go. All right, let's do it on the other side. Together now, all right? Don't screw around. Try this out, all right? Other arm back, all right? Rotate it up, all right? Rotate it out, push it, just until you almost like you feel like you're gonna lose it. And right at that point, right when you feel like you're gonna lose it, and it's like, it's too hard, starting to sting. All right, count of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, shake it out at the end. Do it a couple times both sides. Let's go this side. Rotate it out and up. Feel that sting. Get it right where you can't move it anymore. And now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay, other side. Get it engaged. Really push it out there. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, feels so good. Feels so good. You do this twice. Do that stretch at least 2 times on each side, once an hour. I promise you. Even if you are stretching your wrists right now, even if you are taking breaks, your wrists and your hands will never have felt as good if you do this. It's like the miracle stretch for carpal tunnel. Okay, but you gotta start doing it. Don't overdo it, but you gotta start doing it early on, like in the day. What I found with carpal tunnel is once it starts getting inflamed, no amount of stretching will help. In fact, stretching it after it's inflamed, especially like this way, kind of actually makes it worse. You kind of get that hot, sort of like sweet tingle inside your wrist, and you're like, damn it, I'm done. I'm kind of done for the day, or sometimes like for the week, if you go too far. So you gotta start this early, if anything. Okay. Remember when I was showing off the Wacom before, I was showing you how display toggle works. Okay, have my Wacom tablet here, and basically my display toggle button is the top left express key. All right, and here are my camera navigation. My hand is just on the keyboard like this, and my thumb reaches down. It's like the perfect distance to just tap that express key. So if I need to, let's say I'm over on this monitor, I can pop it over. Do whatever I want right here. Let's get it out of the way. Come back. Actually, that's not what I wanted to do. Let me get the outliner. Let me pop it over here. Come back. do a little bit of manipulation, whatever. Open up the graph editor. I want it over here. All right. So popping back and forth using display toggle is absolutely the best way, bar none, the best way to get the most out of your Wacom or your Wacom, because if you're not, what camera am I looking at? If you most of us don't have a Wacom, I don't even think they make one that is 2 HD screens wide in terms of aspect ratio. This one is an HD one, right? So that's one HD screen. If you have to force proportions, otherwise, like the movement is just way too stretched in one axis. So with forced proportions, you're losing half of the real estate on your Wacom. So with display toggle, it makes it so that you're using 100% of your Wacom space, plus you're reducing the amount of arm movement that you have to do in order to use 2 monitors. You can just stay central and move this arm as little as possible, really, and just pop over with that display toggle button. So it's really, really important. So let's go back to the stretches that are really good. The next set I'm supposed to do against a wall, but it's not possible right now. But basically, these correct and help your back and neck and shoulders. Basically, what you want to do is you want to stand against a wall and make sure that your shoulders, like the top, like in between your shoulders, that part of your spine, and the back of your head is touching the wall. And basically what you want to do is you want to take your arms and you want to go, you can imagine I'm against the wall, all right? My arms are moving against the wall. They're just going up and down like this slowly. Do that 10 times, okay? Then do this 10 times, okay? And then do this 10 times, just forward raise. All that at the exact same time, all that time, keeping your back and the back of your head against the wall. What you find is that it gets fatigued immediately. Why? Because we're always rounding and we're like this. So to do the opposite, to push it back and to have your head where it's supposed to be, see how my chest pops out like that? Okay, you don't want to force your chest out. You want to just be your back aligned and then your head where it's supposed to be. Okay, and you'll find that sitting in a chair, I mean, when I'm standing just kind of like normally, I have this little sag. And when I remember, I try to straighten up and I try to get my head, my chin back and kind of over my body like that. And it's tough to do and it's tough to remember. But again, this stretch will actually kind of work those muscles and fatigue them, and they'll get stronger and stronger and tighter, and they'll sort of like, pull your head back a little bit if you do this every day. The last one I found is fantastic for that lumbar support. And here's the kind of like caveat of this. I'm going to show you something right now that is going to make you hopefully take this all very seriously. That's an inversion table. I had to get that inversion table because I needed a little bit of decompression on that disc bulge, and you don't want to get there, man. You don't want to get to there. Now, there's a lot. I do a lot of exercise. I mean, I think you guys have heard this sound a lot. What that sound is all my Spartan metals jingling on my my little wooden screen here. I've run in dozens of obstacle races. I discovered obstacle races and I love them and I can do them, but my back is always like super sore afterwards, and working out and training for these things is also like a killer on my back. But you don't want to get there, all right? Because once you get to that point, it's almost like there's no real way to get all the way back to where you were. I'm always going to have that thing that can like wake up and say hello in my back for the rest of my life, basically. Once it's popped out, it's kind of like there's no undo, and that really pisses me off that I let it get to that thing. So this is what you want to do. It turns out that go back to here for a second. It turns out that really the muscles in your back are since they're connected to your legs, and your legs are your biggest muscles. Nobody stretches their legs, okay? And it's your butt and your hamstrings that are killers in terms of getting your back into a shape. So basically, you have to stretch your glutes, you have to stretch your hamstrings. And I'm going to show you two. The microphone, I don't think will pick me up all the way over there. I'll just do the two different stretches, and I'd like it if you could do them with me, okay? And start doing these as well. You're going to find, if you've never stretched before, that these are very hard to do because these muscles are extremely tight on people who sit at a computer all day. But I'm going to do both of them. I'm going to do, each side as well, and so follow along, and then when we're done, we'll wrap up, okay? So here are the two stretches. One is for basically just your glutes, and the other is glutes and hamstrings. Okay, they kind of look. The second one kind of looks like a yoga pose. Okay, first one is glutes only. Here we go. So get down on the ground like this. All right, and pick whichever foot you're going to do first. Forward like this, and the other one behind you, and you're going to lean over onto this, and you should feel it in your glutes mostly, and a little bit in your hamstrings as well. It depends on how tight you are. Okay? So I'm going to do this one both sides. Ugh. Okay, and then this one is for really just your hamstrings. Okay, it's almost the same position that we were just in. You're going to, and this, I think this is a yoga pose as well. You're going to cross your legs like this, okay, and you're going to pull this leg to your chest while at the same time twisting and looking away. What you'll find is as you start doing these stretches, your back is going to be rounded. If you can, you want to stay as straight as possible. In fact, that's how I like to, this is probably bad form, but that's how I like to actually work into this stretch, is to find where it's beginning to really pull, and then straighten my back into it, sort of like almost like press my stomach against my leg, and when I straighten my back, oh man, it really engages. And then you want to twist just a little bit as well. Very nice. Okay, so there are a lot more stretches. You should look into stretching your psoas. I can't run you through obviously all the stretches that you can possibly do. Stretching is unbelievably beneficial for people who lead a sedentary lifestyle. So. But suffice it to say that the arm stretches that I showed you, and stretching your glutes and your hamstrings, as well as those exercises, is a great way to keep on track. Don't let it get to the point where I did, where you get injured and then you kind of like stuck with it. Okay, I want everybody to be able to work. There should be nothing. I mean, animation is hard enough as it is. Okay. Animation is hard enough to do without injury and without stuff holding you back. All right, so I don't want you to have those problems. Last thing I'll show you is how I'm standing. Basically, I'm standing. The moment I get to work, I take my shoes off. I wear extremely loose shoes that I can just slip into and out of. Okay, and I'm never wearing shoes in the office. You should always stand if you can, legs or feet shoulder width apart. Okay, toes slightly inwards, and if you can, remember to bend your knees just absolutely slightly, just a breath of bending your knees, and also see how they're kind of tilted in right now. Rotate them out just a little bit. All right, my kneecaps just pointed out just a little bit. Feet straight, shoulder width apart, knees rotated out, slightly bent if you can. Now what this is I actually have another problem, which is my calves are extremely tight all the time, and I had plantar fasciitis. Well, it's just a whole lot of problems going on with me. Anyway, this is just a 3-inch piece of PVC. It can support my weight, and so that I'm not like standing and then just like, you know, shifting from hip to hip all day, which will give you even more back problems. What I do is I roll this. I roll my foot on it. All right, stretching my calf like this, switching feet. All right, and then sometimes I'm actually 2 feet on it, and it's actually a nice kind of core exercise to be kind of like rolling on this all day. Don't try to start doing this until you're you've done it for a while. I don't want people falling and smacking their face on their keyboards or anything like that. But this is what I do all day, and by the end of it's funny because when I go home for the weekend, my feet are used to being, you know, so nice and stretched out all the time. Like when I go home from the weekend, I'll come in on Monday morning and I'm like, oh man, like my calves are so tight and whatever, and I'll get on this thing. I'm like, oh, that's so much better. So it's kind of funny that like my workspace has sort of become almost like a little mini ergonomics gym. But anyway, so if you can't tell, I'm taking this extremely seriously now. I thought I was taking it seriously before, but when I watched that video back, the first one I did, I'm embarrassed about how I was, you know, sitting down and like hunched over and telling you guys all about ergonomics. So here we are. And I feel a lot better. I'm in the best shape of my life now that I've, taken up Spartan races, and I really feel like I'm on a much better path. There's obviously more I can do. I can stretch more. I don't take enough breaks to stretch, so I start taking that a little bit more seriously. But that's the current update. I'm behind you guys. All right, I'm supporting you. I want the best for you. So please take this seriously and start taking care of yourselves. All right. This has been a lot of fun. Remember, send questions to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I will read your question. I will answer it in due time. I appreciate all your guys' help. Happy New Year, by the way. If I didn't say that already, I think I did. Take care of yourselves. I'm Kenny Roy. Good luck with your animation. And as always, rock on.